Hi, everybody. Welcome to Derailed.
Hello.
This
We did our
is
first episode.
and it was about Toriyama. And this next episode is going to be also Toriyama related. So the question I'm going to ask for this episode is Toriyama's influence on the anime industry, not just his work, because we talked a lot about Dragon Ball and his work last episode, but other people's work as influenced by
Let me.
Toriyama.
I can list them off if you'd like,
Oh,
actually.
go
And I.
ahead.
So Oda famously looked. The big three. Let's just say the big three all looked at him as a mentor and a inspiration. They watched him when they were younger.
uh,
Um,
and
Naruto is directly inspired by Goku's lackadaisical character. Um, Ichigo is inspired by Goku's determination. Luffy is inspired by Goku's carefree nature.
and
So that's a big thing.
well, I think
Toriko,
well, hold on. You want to kind of talk about those three real quick?
right.
A lot of the action in Bleach, if you look at it with the way people are like doing their power levels and then like getting power ups through stuff, a lot of it is very similar to Dragon Ball Z. A lot of the way people get stronger and the way they compare each other and stuff, it's very similar to Z, and you can see the influence strongly. In One Piece, a lot of that like goofy adventuristic attitude is very similar to original Dragon Ball.
It's true. It's
You
true.
can
It's
see
like
that influence.
if Dragon Ball grew up as itself instead of Z, that would have been what it might have looked.
And with you know, I was making fun of Naruto a little bit last time, but Naruto, like you see the way the character puts a lot of effort into what he's doing to become above what he is, his determination to become better than who he is. That's a very Dragon Ball Z thing.
Yes,
Naruto's desire to become better than who he is so Dragon Ball Z
agreed.
ish.
I mean, it's kind of like if Vegeta and Goku were fused as a child. But yeah, no, I
And
mean, the
obviously a
inspiration's
lot of
there.
shonen has been like influenced like that. The classic shonen battle series, it was around before Dragon Ball Z, but really exploded after Dragon Ball Z.
It really did. I mean, you can thank Dragon Ball for Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, let's be clear here. Dragon Ball itself was inspired by Fist of the North Star,
Mm-hmm.
which inspired Dragon Ball, which in turn inspired things like Yu Yu Hakusho, Ronin
Yu Yu
Warriors.
Hakusho, look at the Yu Yu Hakusho's really famous Black Tournament arc. That's basically just a Dragon Ball Z arc right there, just done in a Yu Yu Hakusho way.
Agreed. Agreed. I mean, you also have stuff like Toriko, Fairy Tale, Rave Master. Um, I could go on with this list.
the it, that
Eden Zero,
that
Black
idiot
Clover, My Hero
hero who has a
Academia.
lot of energy and loves to fight and eats a lot. There are so many protagonists you can describe that with. That's just Goku.
Yeah, I mean, this is not this is a normal thing. Hunter x Hunter. Um,
Gone Gone is like a subversion of that trope, but the fact is that to subvert something means you're influenced by that thing. So it's
yes,
like Gon is looking at that trope and we're gonna mess with it, but like that means he's influenced if he's trying to mess with it.
I mean it's really big.
And that shows in everything. And you look at the art style of characters. A lot of um anime. If you look at a lot of old anime, a lot of it has a lot of like they kind of look like Fist of the North Star. Really, they got that kind of weird griminess to them.
Yes,
Dragon Ball Z kind of cleaned up its art style and made it a lot simpler. And if you look at a lot of anime after that, started using a lot of that similar, like simple shapes art style after Dragon Ball Z started doing it.
well, I mean you have a bunch of these things too, where like you have God of High School was inspired by it. Uh, Ones that aren't even like Japanese.
I mean,
You have One Punch Man. You have Gintama. Gintama was inspired by it.
you go, you ask manga writers like who inspired them. I guarantee you, like 80% of them are gonna be like Toriyama, and the other
That's
20% are
true.
influenced by Toriyama. They just didn't say it out loud.
I mean, even if you're writing a romance anime sometimes even,
I
because the
mean, the
big thing
creator of
too
Sailor Moon has admitted she looked at Dragon Ball for some of the action in that series.
yeah, because the big thing is, well, another thing is she needed to figure out what to top because they made those characters very strong.
Oh yeah. But I mean,
Um,
if you're looking at strong characters, you got like Saint Seiya too and stuff like that. So it's not like Dragon Ball was the first one to be like absurdly strong characters. But
yeah, no, I mean, if I was to like argue for Sailor Moon things, I would say Beerus. Um,
yeah, well, chances are, well, it's hard to say because Sailor Moon characters are very similar to Saint Seiya characters in design.
I mean, the only ones that would matter is Eternatus, who the main character Usagi is based upon.
Yeah.
She is 5D universe. But the big thing
I mean,
is
good God, even when you're
Akira
making a
Echo.
goddamn card game with Yu-Gi-Oh, you look at that, or like
Yeah,
a lot of sports anime,
Yu-Gi-Oh
they
was inspired.
follow a lot of Dragon Ball Z's like arc
Pokemon
structures.
was inspired by it. Digimon was inspired by it.
Ugh.
Bakugan was inspired by it. Beyblade was
I mean,
inspired
I'd
by it.
argue with Beyblade
Dynamite.
and Bakugan, they're inspired by Pokemon and Digimon, which were inspired by Dragon Ball Z. So we're starting to get into anime cannibalism here.
Oh, what I mean is like they utilize the stuff which are directly Dragon.
Yeah. No, I mean,
But
some of
the
that is
the big
also,
thing,
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Fist of the North Star. It's like, yeah.
yeah,
But it's like,
his fingerprints
is
are everywhere.
Elvis the king of rock and roll because he stole a lot of his music or because he did it good? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean the big thing is his fingerprints are everywhere,
His
literally
fingerprints are
everywhere.
everywhere. I mean, I think it's notable that, like, Dragon Quest, I mentioned Dragon Quest last episode, has never changed its art style once. Not once have they strayed outside the art style because they know how powerful it is.
Yeah, and I mean that's the big thing too. Is like one of the greatest RPGs of all time, Chrono Trigger. They're talking about
Oh, sorry, you're cutting out there, Joey. You're gonna have to repeat that.
I was saying, and one of the greatest RPGs.
Joey, you're cutting out again, and that's upsetting.
Let me check this.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Sorry.
I was saying one of the best anime or video games of all time, Chrono Trigger. They're talking about remaking that, and I think that would be a perfect homage, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
With three games currently on the docket right now, with Akira's stamp on them. By the way, you have Dragon Quest 12 coming out, Sparking Zero coming out, and Sandland coming out. All three have his stamp on them.
Well, Sandland is directly like Toriyama manga turned into a video game.
Oh yeah, so Sparking Zero. But my point is like it's
If we're just talking about video games, Nomura, you look at some of his designs, you've got Cloud, who is a spiky blonde haired guy. I'm like, and you got look at Sora, who's a very childish, adventurous spirit. I'm like, that guy's definitely watched a lot of Dragon Ball Z, man. And although he eventually created his own thing with it, if you really look at it, you can see the influences in some of his work in Final Fantasy games.
do you know how many Dragon Ball games, like all around games? Do you know how many?
How many?
102. That's more than most video game series in the world.
I mean, Dragon Ball is first of all, it's really long, so there's a lot to work with.
Yes.
And, punch people good is a staple of video games, so it's very easy to make a video game around it.
And popularity leads to money,
Oh, yeah.
and it generates it.
Yeah, there's the question, like, even if they're bad video games, the fact that people keep wanting to try to make it shows just how popular they are. And obviously, they're not all bad video games, but just the sheer number of it shows that people want to keep trying, good or bad.
the the biggest thing to note here is Akira Toriyama did a lot of good things for the video game world. I mean, Blue Dragon helped keep the Xbox afloat, the original Xbox with Blue Dragon.
Well, yeah, and there weren't very many RPGs on that system, and
The ones that were they didn't have a system that was cohesive to the time.
oh my
I'm
god, you ever
looking at
play
Lost
Enchanted
Odyssey.
Arms? Ooh
I have
boy.
I have it on my account, but Lost Odyssey is what I'm more thinking of.
Lost Odyssey is a pretty decent game.
It's a good game. It's a very good game.
But yeah, but then you get Blue Dragon, and Blue Blue Dragon's weird because I feel like and this is a weird way to say it. I feel like this is Toriyama not putting all of his effort and still coming out amazingly.
Right.
Like Toriyama was like half-assing it, and because Toriyama's just pure art style is great, even half-ass Toriyama still comes out amazing. He has a poop steak. You can't tell me he was going full effort on that.
Uh, Toriyama was always that goofy dude. I
He
mean, the
was
poop
always
stick
that
is all the
goofy.
way.
But
Well, like the poop stick is iconic of his. Of course, he's going full
oh
blast
yeah.
with the poop stick. The poop stick is his thing from Aurelia. Aurelia uses the poop stick all the time. That's his favorite character.
um. Well, I think noticeably, I think he's aware that most people don't think the poop stick is that funny anymore, so he keeps away from it. But with Blue Dragon, because he was kind of going like half-assed, he was also going uninhibited to a certain extent.
Oh, but
I
then
think to a
wouldn't that
certain
be
extent
not
there was a
half-assed?
part of it that's like I'm not gonna try, which means I don't have any in it.
Well, in this context, we're dictating not going to try as not going to curtail myself to other people's want,
I
which
guess.
is fine then.
But I think so. The thing with Toriyama is that he's always been fighting other people's opinions with everything he does, and you saw it with the Cell Saga where he had to change villains twice because his editor kept fighting him, which ended up good. But like, I think Toriyama like kind of needs that a little bit. And when it's like completely uninhibited, it leads to some interesting results, I would say. I wouldn't say bad, but it leads to some stuff like, could you imagine if Dr. Giro and the clown were the main villains of this Android saga? It'd be a weird saga, man. But that's just kind of how it like that's how I think. I think it's very similar to Kojima, where when he's got like people kind of holding him back a little bit, he comes up with amazing stuff like Metal Gear Solid and stuff. But the moment he's like unfiltered, he comes up with something really weird like Death Stranding.
That is true.
And I
I
feel like
mean,
that's how I feel with Toriyama. It's like he needs that. He came up with like his best work when he had that little bit of pushback, and then when he didn't have the pushback or he was just like free to do stuff, that's when he came up with some of the like weird, like not quite fully there stuff. That's kind of how I feel with Blue Dragon. Is that was one of
right.
those like it's kind of a weird, not fully formed thing. God, we gotta do a Let's Play Blue Dragon, though. I have so much to say about that game that requires things to be in front of me to describe. That game is crazy.
I mean,
But,
Akira Toriyama's stamp on games has also reached into fighting games. Not just like I'm not talking Fighter Z. He was there for the Dreamcast when it was out, even making unknown games. Like he didn't work on necessarily games that had high profile, like the Dragon Quest,
oh, yeah.
like the Chrono Triggers, which had Square behind them. Ironically enough, Square was behind this fighting game too.
I
Um,
think he liked working on video games precisely for that reason. because I think Toriyama always, I wouldn't say he resented his fame, but I think he always kind of like wished
He
that he
didn't
could,
aim at it.
yeah, he always felt a little restricted by it. So when the video games came along and he could kind of work on some of that in secret,
The big thing with Toriyama is like Hayao Miyazaki, he kind of
oh sorry,
resented.
you cut out there.
Kind of like Hayao Miyazaki, he kind of resented his fame.
I wouldn't say resent. I would say felt restricted by it.
I
Like
mean, that's
he's
a form
glad
of
for
resentment.
the fame. He just felt like the fame came at a price that he didn't want to pay.
Yeah, I mean that's a form of resentment.
I guess it's a different form.
But
Whereas with
the big
Miyazaki, I feel
thing,
like
right?
Miyazaki just doesn't care for the fame at all and just wants to do whatever.
I mean, Miyazaki's uber national too. So like, the only reason he does what he does is his people want to do it.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that he enjoys drawing.
I mean, he enjoys the art craft in general. I mean,
Yes.
just he does it for the sake of himself.
If I recall correctly, Miyazaki actually isn't a big fan of regular.
Yeah. I think, there's the famous quote, anime is a mistake. But I think the reason why he said that is because he feels like the ideas have kind of cannibalized themselves, where, like, they're inspiring each other instead of getting inspirations from other things.
But like,
So
that's
he
not a
feels
bad
like the
thing.
way anime is going is the thing he has a
If
problem with, not that anime
I, I
itself.
I think that's incorrect though, because like if you look at something like Jujutsu Kaisen, you have things like Bleach inspiring that, which was inspired by Dragon Ball. Like Jujutsu Kaisen's great. Or if you have uh, Demon Slayer, that was inspired by Tokyo Ghoul, which was inspired by oh my god, Berserk.
Oh yeah, this entire conversation started with us being like, "Hey, look at all these great things inspired by this other guy."
And
So,
that's kind of how a lot of movies and characters and things came about. I mean, Superman
hey,
isn't actually the first superhero. Like if we're talking about that.
I mean, all I'll really say on the Miyazaki subject is just because a guy's a genius and has is very influential and stuff doesn't mean he can't have an L take. He can have the one L
True.
take. It's like
That's
nobody's
true.
perfect. He doesn't believe
You know what? I
inspiring
agree.
from the same media is a good thing, then that's him. That's fine. He could do his
That
own
is
thing.
true.
Him not liking it isn't gonna stop other people from doing their own thing.
I do think the big reason people pay more attention is, well, we have our big animators here like Don Jones, Hanna Barbera. Uh, they have so many more, and they tie their national heritage to it, and China and Korea nowadays. Uh, Great example. Oda is well known. Masahiro is well known. Tite Kubo is well known
So I think
because
this
they
is.
made the big three.
I want to put this out as kind of this interesting point. When America started making animations and stuff, they made it because this was this new thing and it was interesting to people. Um,
Right.
and this leads to them, monetizing, and it comes from a place of monetization and want to see this new thing to its extent, right?
Hmm.
And this led to it being built on new ideas and who can do the new thing and all this stuff. Um, the Japanese built the same thing, but they built it off of a love of the thing. They already saw what the Americans were doing. They're like, we love this. We build it off of love. Whereas Americans just built it out of curiosity and as Americans do. Look, check this new thing out. And obviously, there are plenty of people nowadays who I love film. And I love making films, but you also see a lot of people in the American film industry who are like, I'm just doing it because it's a popular thing that makes a lot of money. Whereas,
Right.
because Japanese built it out of love, and it's not like there aren't Japanese animators and anime people who are just doing it for the money, but because it was built for love by people who love it, a lot of the industry is full of love and care for it. In a way that a lot of American film industry and animation industry isn't full of love.
See, it's. I think that's overexplained. I think the whole point of Japanese is
Yeah,
to
I definitely made that a little
overly.
too wordy.
Yeah, they just tie a lot of their identity to their cultural heritage.
Well, there was
But
also that whole bit with like after the war, they kind of were identityless, and that kind of helped them build it back up. So there was also that
one
part
sec.
of it. Oops, sorry.
Oh, I just had to sneeze. Sorry.
But
Yeah, no,
I guess I
definitely.
want to bring up, but like you look at Korea, the Koreans do still have their own identity, but they still love it in the same way as Japanese do. It's just not, and they still identify with it because again, the industry's being made with love in Korea. They love it, and China too. If you look at some of China's stuff, they're doing some pretty interesting stuff too, and their industry is kind of being built off of both identity because China doesn't have a good identity for its film stuff and its animation, and they kind of want that. If you listen to that famous Kung Fu Panda quote where they're like, "Why hasn't China made this?" There's that famous bit.
Yeah,
But there is a part that of them that's like, well, we do love this. Why aren't we making this? And now all the people who love it are being fueled by the people who want cultural relevance are like
right.
combining to make this industry that's like full of love and cultural relevance. Because if you look at a lot of China stuff is very specifically cultural. There's a lot of cultural stuff in China's animations and stuff. It's fused, and it's not like other places don't have their own cultures and stuff, but China is like iron balls grip culture.
That's true.
Because it's
Oh, I
being
mean,
built from a sense of they want to spread their culture.
see, I kind of disagree. A big thing that we differentiate here is just with how they've impacted like their not their culture but their politics. The cultural they teach in Japan they teach history revision, for example, just as they do in China. So I mean, for example, they
To be
don't teach.
fair, if you look at Japanese, they don't do a lot of historical stuff. There's obviously some stuff, Grave of the Fireflies is
They
a famous one. But if
it's
you really look at it, they kind of sidestep a lot of the historical stuff in
uh,
Japan, at least.
no, they do. They just lie on them a lot. Like they had a movie where they painted the kamikaze bombers as heroes because that's what they were considered. Um,
I guess I was thinking more anime, but I guess if you're thinking about film, I haven't watched a lot like
well, no,
film.
I'm just using a description to dictate why their identity is a stretch to say their way that they dictate their identity is similar to Chinese identity adhesion.
Well, I think another
Because
thing,
history revisionism is common in both of their schools. It's just one of them mandates it.
ironclad, and the other is just like, well, it just kind of is as it is. I think
Yeah,
as someone once pointed out, you notice, if you look at how Japan portrays Germany, they know Germany did bad things, but they don't portray it as like as hyper negative as other people was because Germany used to be their ally. They used to be their pals, and although they can look back, a lot of times they look back and they're like, yeah, Germany did a lot of bad stuff. They don't always like as hyper. It's not like it's considered bad, but not pure evil to them like it is to
right.
everyone else. It's
I
bad,
mean,
but not pure evil. They still put the Germans as the bad guys, just, not as unquestionably bad as other people do. And you can see that a lot in their work, that how that bleeds into it.
yeah. The big thing to note here too is you you don't necessarily have knowledge of like some of the things that they did other than that too, which they talk about in like if we talk about it, they get mad, and that says more than them making a movie necessarily.
Yeah,
Sometimes
that's
and them
true.
saying what we did
If
was
we bring
good.
it directly, if we, I guess it says a lot. you see this. We're
Like
talking politics.
Japan's invaded China mainland multiple times.
Oh yeah.
Like it's back and forth, mind you. But like when they do it, they labeled them dogs. There
Oh
was a
yeah.
slur
You
for
look
them.
at Chinese works. They don't paint Japanese as particularly good a lot of the time. Specifically because Japan never really made up for all that. Not really. But that point you made about people getting mad when you get angry at them, bringing it into America, you see that a lot with the Israeli stuff. You got the people just defending Israel. They don't defend themselves with logic. They defend themselves with anger, and it's like, that's very telling as to what's going on.
That's true.
And that's usually how someone's been like brainwashed, is how do they respond with your questions. And if they respond with
Or
anger, they're not
right.
thinking from an emotional they're not they're thinking from an emotional spot, not a rational spot, which
I
usually
would
indicates something
I would
off is going on.
I would undercut that being emotional in a conversation is necessarily an end all.
It's not an
You
end
can
all, but it's like you can usually tell if it's like where it's coming from usually. Like if it's coming from if they get angry or they get like sad or something, you can usually tell that where they got this idea comes from something that angers them or saddens them, even if there is some logic in there. And like logical stuff can have emotional stuff in there too. It's not all binary because people are complicated like that. People are complicated. But generally speaking, you can get like where the majority is coming from based on their response. And obviously there are people who are aware of this and will hide it, where they'll be angry on the inside because they logically know they're wrong, but they're emotionally like in it, so they'll hide their emotions. You see that a lot with racists, where racists will hide the fuck out of their emotional anger towards whatever race they hate because they know it's considered wrong. And oof. And obviously,
Yeah.
there are obviously racists who are openly racist, but you'll notice that they're quite not as common as the ones who are hiding it.
And the ones that are hiding it in some aspects can be more dangerous than the ones
Oh,
that
of
are.
course. You can trust an enemy who's open. You can't trust an enemy who's hidden.
Yeah, it's true.
You can trust the guy who punches you in the face, not the guy who stabs you in the back.
A big thing for me, going back to Akira and his influence on video games and culture and all that.
Oh, did we get a little derailed there? Sorry.
Maybe just a bit.
Just a bit.
But the whole concept of an animation that's mostly just about comedy turned into something that was about fighting. And the question of how that came to be, I don't know if you probably know about Hitman, or I think you enjoy
Hitman
that
Reborn,
one.
yeah, I
Sure.
love Hitman Reborn. No, I don't think there's any anime that quite has that comedy to pure action pipeline quite like that one. There's obviously close ones, but not quite like that.
Yeah. But I do definitely think that one follows the idea of Dragon Z
So
specifically.
with Dragon Ball Z specifically, you could see that like what Toriyama wanted to do at the beginning and what he wanted to do later were two entirely different things. Whereas with Hitman Reborn, it was kind of planned from the beginning.
Well, this is one of those big things that you just need to notate. He actually wanted to end Dragon Ball with Dragon Ball.
But yeah,
He went with Dragon Ball Z because people wanted more. But
common joke is that Toriyama originally wanted to end out Pilaf. Like, It's like, but he kept going. And as he kept going, his taste changed, and he's like, you know what? I want to do a little bit more action stuff. I want to do something more sci-fi. I want to do this, and you can see it like push out the other stuff he did previously until eventually it became something completely different.
I
Which
think
is totally a valid way to do it. You know, you don't want to write something you don't want to write something else. It's just it's fine. It just leads to something different.
the big thing to note here is he didn't want to make it, and he kept doing it because the fans wanted him. And
Yeah,
then he was going to end Dragon Ball after the Frieza saga. He kept it going because Frieza was actually his sleep paralysis demon growing up, and actually scared him.
yeah.
And then he kept going. He was going to end it after the Cell saga, and kept going.
I mean, yeah, that's what the joke that he wanted to end it at Pilaf kind of starts with. Because, like, I think he wanted to end it after the first tournament. He admitted, like, after the whole Jackie Chun thing, like, was his original ending point. So it's like,
And that would have been a good one.
yeah.
I mean, most of the ones that we mentioned are.
I mean, if you think about, Dragon Ball started, a lot of the system of arcs, that a lot of shonen follow. Dragon Ball started a lot of that. I mean, Fist of the North Star did it, but like Dragon Ball was what really solidified it. And I don't think it solidified it because Toriyama was like, I'm doing arcs. I think it solidified it because Toriyama kept stopping and starting the series. And that's how
true.
the arcs got started and stopped.
It's one of the major reasons why Inuyasha was popular, because they kept on playing repeat, finished it.
Oh yeah. You cut out there for a sec.
It's one of the only reasons why Inuyasha, because they kept replaying it until it was finished.
Inuyasha's an interesting one because it's like
Inuyasha is problematic.
Inuyasha's interesting because it's like a shonen action series for girls, and it's like weird. Because even like Sailor Moon, you could tell it's like for girls first, and then the action series second. Inuyasha is weird because it's like an action series first, and then for girls, also that. It's like, it's so weird. I don't think there are any other series that are like that. That are
if
like
the girl
heavily
if the girl was
action-based.
not 14,
Oh, yeah.
if the main girl was not 14,
That's
I
a
would
different
be
can
okay.
of worms entirely than what I was just talking about, but yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's a problem.
That's Japan's problem in general.
That is a problem, my dude.
If we want to talk about that problem, remember how old Bulma was in that bunny suit.
Yeah,
Not old enough.
She was 15, dude.
Yeah.
Kissing a 300-year-old man was trying to mac on.
Oh, she flashed him too. Just like,
Although not partially not on purpose. Like that part of that was Goku's fault.
Just like, yep. Love Japan.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different can of worms. We're not going to talk about that anymore. I'm going to derail it right now.
Derail right now.
This is a derailment. This is a train hijacking. Let's go.
Get out your wallets.
Get out your wallets.
But no, I mean, the big thing to note here is One Piece is almost done. This is what's crazy. Akira's gone.
I know.
Yu-Gi-Oh's done. Berserk is gonna be done soon. Bleach is gonna be done soon. Naruto's gonna be done soon. One Piece is gonna be done soon.
So can I talk about One Piece for a brief second being done soon?
Yeah.
I feel bad for Oda because he can't show the ending to his hero. He would really want to. Oh, I feel so bad for him.
Yeah. That was probably like Oda showed it to only one person before they died. And it was a young boy, and they died. No. But Akira never got to see it.
No, if he found that Toriyama was dying, he would have ran to his house across the country. Just show him.
Yeah, he would have. He totally would have.
And then Toriyama would have been like, I actually don't like that. And then he would have changed the entire story.
But it would have been like, oh, I forgot that character existed.
Oh yeah. I feel bad because because out of all the manga artists, Oda is. I think Oda is definitely like the biggest one because he's constantly talking about Toriyama. Constantly.
It's true. It's true.
Uh, Speaking of One Piece almost being ending, and me considering of reading the manga, I've decided I'm not gonna read the manga anymore. You know why?
Because you want to watch it all in bulk.
No, because they're having a new anime series and that has no filler, which is my biggest problem with the current anime season. So now I have no reason to read the manga because I'm gonna have the proper way to do it.
But like, you'll never be able to finish it then. So you know what's gonna happen, Jesse? One of these days, I'll tell you the ending because you're pissing me off.
You could have used the spoiler as blackmail.
Yeah, finish the fucking manga, you bitch. Don't fucking make me wait like that. That's actual torture.
Oh my god, I was playing Fear and Hunger 2, right? Because Izzy really wanted me to play it, right? And Fear and Hunger 2, and I do have plans to talk about this in a different Derailed episode, but I'm going to put it here right now because I want that episode to be with Izzy. But you should have seen Izzy, the like conversations we were having getting started, because Fear and Hunger 2 is basically a giant puzzle game that's best played without spoilers, and you could see Izzy about to explode wanting to tell me everything. Man was about to explode.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of cool stuff in Fear and Hunger 2, but a big part of Fear and Hunger 2 is discovering that shit yourself, so too bad, Izzy. But now that I finished it, I should I should finally have that discussion with Izzy. The open discussion, and I hope I can record that for the next episode. Sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, one of the big things here is he got it. I was because I don't play PC games as much, and he still is very testy about that. And I'm like, I'm sorry that I enjoy consoles and having money.
Sorry, what'd you say? You cut out there.
He bought me Fear and Hunger. Play it. I just haven't been able to do it. Unfortunately, I have other games that I really
I know.
Specifically, Final Fantasy 16 is really fun.
Oh yeah. At least with Fear and Hunger, it's a game that can run on a potato, so
That's true.
It's made with RPG Maker, which means anything can play it. Oh well.
That is true. I mean,
but we're derailing.
Yeah, we are. You want to get back? You want back on? Are we ready?
I want back on.
You want back
like
on?
I said, the Fear and Hunger conversation is with Izzy in the next episode.
Yeah. I think.
Yes, I want back on. I know you kicked me off after I robbed the place, but I won't rob it this time.
Well, okay, first off, we're not going back to that conversation. Second, I just want to point out one of the big things that we're going to be going forward with in the future here, I'm thinking, is just there's going to be a period of time where people don't know whether or not to trust what's coming out for Dragon Ball. And I'm going to say it here because I haven't been clear about it. I've been kind of vague.
Okay, I'm gonna just say this real quick. I've never trusted what was going to come out with Dragon Ball because let's face it, it's always been a little inconsistent.
What I mean is, give it a chance.
Yeah.
Give Toyotaro a chance. Give the companies a chance to make a good Dragon Ball game after Sparking Zero. Kakarot, Fighters, and Xenoverse 2 have been holding the mantle. Sparking Zero looks to be another good contender. We need to give them some sort of faith that they left it in good hands.
Well, that's all. That's all. Yeah, that's all we could ask for is that you just give it a chance. Really.
And one of the big things that people worry about is it okay to be sad about all this? And like we've been talking like waxing poetic about just random shit throughout this, but like it's a sad thing.
Oh yeah.
A major developer died in what I think is before their time. He wasn't even 70.
He hasn't retired yet, so it was before his time.
Yeah. But like he wasn't even 70.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing is he wasn't even 70.
Oh yeah. He died
It's
kind of
okay to be
suddenly
sad.
too, so yeah, you could be
Well,
sad.
yeah,
He wasn't sick or anything. He died from brain bleeding.
it's nothing that anybody could have prepared for, but the point is it's what you're feeling is normal.
Yeah.
It's you feeling unsure and upset if you are about Akira's passing is it's not it's I guarantee you it's not especially since he had such a profound impact not just upon America but like we talk about like Mexico real quick because like there have been reports that cartel gang activity reduces every time a new Super episode came out.
Oh yeah. Oh well, I
Yeah, it's
mean,
really big in
there's
Mexico.
that infamous Dragon Quest. Like, uh, they passed a law that said Dragon Quest can only be released on the weekends because people can't be missing work like that.
Yeah,
They
it's
had to make
true.
a law for that because of how much people love Dragon Quest over there,
Yeah,
which is a Toriyama
but
thing.
that's the big thing is Toriyama paved a lot of the ways for games and anime. He didn't his Dragon Ball games themselves didn't necessarily hit really until the mid 90s. But you know what did hit in the early 90s and
What?
late 80s? Fucking Dragon Quest. His work with Square
Oh
specifically
yeah.
is what I mean to say. His work with Square and Enix and the fact that he helped put them on the map before they even thought of making
Well, let me put it
after they
like
were making
this.
say
Dragon Quest is oftentimes considered the progenitor of all JRPGs. If Dragon Quest
right.
was not popular, we probably would think of every JRPG you love probably would not be the same without Dragon Quest. Thus,
It's true.
you could directly link Toriyama to pretty much every. If you love JRPGs, that's Toriyama. If you love anime and manga, that's Toriyama. You know, it's like if you love the manhwa industry from Korea that's been getting popular, well that's influence from the Japanese industry, so Toriyama.
And the big thing to note here is this
Oh
is an
no,
opinion
hold
piece,
on, here's
right?
another one for ya.
Right, right.
Internet culture massively influenced by Dragon Ball Z Abridged, which is obviously derived from Toriyama. So a
Right.
lot of current internet humor you can push back to Toriyama if you want to.
It's true.
Like,
I mean,
a lot of people love voice actors nowadays. Dragon Ball Z Abridged kind of brought a lot of voice acting stuff to light. So the love of voice actors, Toriyama. Well,
one
I'm
of
sure
the
people
big
would love voice
things.
actors eventually,
Well,
anyways.
yeah, they would.
But like earlier than they would have because of
Well,
that.
I mean, one of the big things we need to keep in mind here too is who are the inheritors of the legacy right now? Who's the guy inspiring everybody these days?
So let me put
The
it
answer's
like,
obvious.
I can I get my answer to that one real quick?
Throw it out.
I think it doesn't matter because since his influence is so wide, in a way, everyone's kind of the inheritor in a way.
I
I think
disagree, and I'll tell you why.
why.
I because the main reason I think that not that crown is because not everybody can subsist. A
Hmm.
good example: Baruto fell off. Baruto fell off. It did. It's not very popular anymore comparatively. They watch it because the scenes are fun, but they don't enjoy it. That's unfortunate, but
So
true.
I'm gonna
Bleach
argue with that
is
one
staggered.
because I'm gonna argue against that idea because GT's not very good. So it's like,
I
well, do,
agree.
do, do,
People don't
do
like
you
it.
think Dragon Ball Z fell off because of GT? No, Dragon Ball Z is still
For a
great.
good while, yeah. Do you know how to do anything again?
Does
It
that
took
mean
over
like,
took them 15 years, and video games were the only
I
they
don't know?
made Z games, not GT games. GT games didn't do well, Jesse.
But does that mean that like
It
Toriyama's?
almost killed their series.
I guess. I guess it's just the idea is like, is did Naruto fail to inherit Toriyama's willpower because
Naruto did not.
eventually there
Boruto
was
did.
because eventually he it kind of fucked up towards the end. No, so it's still the inheritor.
Once again, Naruto did not. Boruto did, but Naruto is not.
Yeah.
Boruto is. So we have to judge Boruto
Do we? I don't.
because it's what's running.
Uh, I don't know.
That's what I was mentioning is what is carrying it now. Now, what is running now that is carrying that.
I
So
guess.
we could say Bleach because it's running right now. You could.
I guess if you think of
But
it
if
more like do we look at the trees or the person currently planting the trees?
I mean the person planting the trees is one.
Yeah.
If we're gonna be real here.
Because
It's one
that's
person.
kind of what I'm looking at the trees. It seems like you're looking for the person planting them.
Well, that's the big thing here is that was the whole point of passing on is if Akira went away, you need to look for who's going to be planting them next, and it's Oda. It's Oda,
Oh yeah.
the man who's written a story arcing so many cohesive elements that come back. There's a whole thing. Sorry, I'm gonna fanboy for a second. There's a whole segment in Alabasta where some of the people who survived the fight with Usopp started digging a hole, and they dug a hole all the way to another island, and they're gonna. I guarantee you, after they showed something happen to another island where it something like let's just say explosion. Uh, that hole's gonna be useful. They didn't
Okay.
show it for no reason.
Oh yeah.
And that's a cover story. That's the big thing with these cover stories is they're not showing them for no reason. So, I mean, planting the trees goes on to Luffy until Luffy's gone.
Well, that's
And
how
that
things
is
get
more important
inherited
for me.
because, like, you know, One Piece is influenced by Dragon Ball Z, but a lot of things are influenced by One Piece, and so Dragon Ball Z was influenced by Fist of the North Star. In a way, people are constantly passing themselves down and growing and getting bigger and stronger and so on and so forth. That is a key point of all of this.
It's true.
You
I
know,
mean,
I'm gonna talk about a serious. My mom died like a year and a half ago. I'm still feeling that one, but
right.
a lot, and I moved in with my grandma to help take care of her. And a lot of things we're talking about is just how much my mom influenced me and how much grandma influenced her. I'll be like, yeah, mom taught me to do this, and then grandma's like, oh no, I'm the one who taught her to do that. And I'll like notice grandma doing something mom used to do. I'm like, oh, mom got that from her. And it's like people influence, push down, refine, and like some of the stuff I do is what mom used to do, but I do it slightly better than mom did because I looked at what mom was doing and did it better. And mom probably does it better than what grandma was doing. As it grows and new ideas come in.
Right. I mean,
And you can see that probably in the manga industry. You start with you start with Astro Boy, then you get Fist of the North Star, then you get Dragon Ball Z, then you get One Piece, and then you get the a lot of people are talking about like the new trilogy, My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen and stuff. You look at those, Those are even further beyond.
It's true.
And I'm sure soon, rather than later, we'll get the next triple. The next triple threat.
I mean, and I'm keeping my eye out. JJK is probably going to be a part.
JJK is fantastic.
It's pretty good. It's not as good a fighting like anime as I thought people were saying it was going to be. They're like best fight scenes in anime. I'm like, they're good. They're the most consistent I've seen in a while.
So, how should I put this? I had that whole discussion. We had a whole episode on what my feelings on action is and what you're looking for in action. So we'll save that discussion for some other time because that's a whole nother episode to have that we've already done technically. So,
right.
Go back to that previous episode where I was talking about the triangle graph of action anime.
Yeah,
I had a very bad Demon Slayer take towards the end of that, but it was very bad because I didn't know what happened next in Demon Slayer. It's a bad take. I apologize for my bad takes.
I mean, I'm just gonna let you do your thing, man. You know what? If you want, go right ahead.
I don't apologize in the moment. I apologize. You don't apologize for things in the moment. You apologize for things later. That's how it works. So I shall continue saying stupid shit because I don't have to deal with that apology until later. I will continue saying stupid shit.
You keep going. You keep going, man. You're doing great.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing great.
Oh, yeah. And hopefully somewhere in my stupid shit, you will learn something amazing. That's all I could hope. So, some nugget of wisdom that makes you think differently than what you're used to.
I mean, one of the big things that we're probably going to see in the future is people paying homage either in the manga chapters, is my guess. Specifically, I know the OG Big Three are going to do something. Because now Tide is actually
I'm on my own. I'm sniffing my own farts right now. The main reason why I'm such a goddamn contrarian, and this is big Jesse lore, is mostly because I like making people think differently than they usually do. If I be a contrarian, I can usually at least say something different than what other people are saying, and thus get people thinking slightly differently.
So if I'm anti-racist, you'll say something racist. Gotcha.
Yeah, I probably will just to be just to be devil's advocate.
Jesse, no.
Get you to think properly.
Jesse, no.
No.
He doesn't mean that I was fucking with him. No, he doesn't.
No. Hold on. Let me defend myself for a brief second. I will say it in a way that makes you at least think about what you're saying and make it stronger. I will be a devil's advocate in a way that makes your argument even stronger. Specifically.
Jesse, there's no defending that.
Oh, I'm not defending myself.
You just said you were.
Listen.
That one, I think you're just tired.
Will I come out and sarcastically say the Jews are controlling the world? Of course I will. I will sarcastically say that all the time. Just to
Jesse,
kind of be a
contrarian. Jesse, we know somebody who is of Jewish. Don't say that.
God damn it.
In fact, probably cut that.
Cut that. Oh, I'm not going to cut that.
You should.
I will make the jokes about Jews taking over the world. I will make sure you know I'm joking when I do it. Like right now. Right now, you know I'm not being serious, I hope.
God fucking damn it, man. God. Can't
God
let you outside. Can't let you do anything.
Can't let me outside. Can't let me do anything. Cancel me, motherfuckers. I don't care. I get stronger from it. I'm an internet troll. I get stronger from being canceled. You fucking threatened to come to my house. I'm like, yes, I've got to rise. I snort that shit.
I mean, I think this is just him attempting to do the contrary.
Anyways, episode's getting long. Toriyama dying is really sad, is the point.
Yeah.
Sorry, that joke wasn't appropriate.
Yeah, you just figured that out? You just figured that out? Jesus fucking Christ,
it's late. I gotta be done. This is supposed to
Yeah,
be a
that thing I
somber
said where
episode.
you're tired.
This is supposed to be a somber
Oh
episode.
man.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, folks.